Hey everyone, Lance Senoid, Industry Executive Advisor with SAP. This is a really exciting topic for me because I'm all about ideation. That's what I do for the organization. So a little bit of a managerial consulting twist for my role. I work with good clients that are just starting on the journey, and I put all the good ideas together. I understand the challenges and what have you. So today we're very fortunate to have two really nice people, Christine Gagnon of the National Bank of Canada and Ravi Pati of EY. They're going to kind of go into a little bit of detail about that journey. So please give them a nice round of applause.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. So my name is Christine Gagnon. I'm a senior manager at National Bank of Canada. So I've been, I'm part of a team that is in charge of the transformation at the bank. I've been with the team for over 30 years and working on different mandates in finance. In the past few years, I've been very involved in the transformation and one of the leading partners in the transformation project. My involvement is very large, so I was there since the beginning. So from ideation, from the creation of the business case, the approval of the business case, the design phases, and now the implementation of our vision. Very happy to be here with Ravi Pati, who was a very good partner to us from Ernst & Young.
Thank you.
Part of our journey in the phase one of the transformation. So can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Good afternoon. I'm Ravi Pati from EY. I have been on this National Bank program for the last 3.5 years, since the day we selected SAP and helped National Bank with the module selection design. And I have a few friends from EY who worked with me, and thanks for being here. So very happy to have this opportunity to present with Christine.
Thank you, Ravi. So very good point. I have a lot of colleagues from National Bank in the room, so thank you very much for your support. So before getting started, just a few overview of what National Bank is all about. So National Bank has been founded in 1859. We're one of the 6 largest banks in Canada, and we're providing financial services to individuals, to businesses, institutional clients, as well as governments across Canada. Our headquarters is in Montreal, Quebec, and we are one of the leading banks in Quebec in our core market. Our numbers, so we have our total revenue is close to $10 billion per year, sorry about that. Our net income is $3 billion, and we have close to $400 billion in total assets. In National Bank, we have 3 different segments in Canada, so personal and commercial banking, we have wealth management and financial market. We have also a 4th segment, which is U.S. specialty finance and international, where we have offices in North America, Europe, United Kingdom, and Asia. We are very happy for our role in the community. Very happy to be one of the employer of choice in Canada and for a role in the community. We have been selected for the 5th year in a row for the Bloomberg Gender Equality Index. And we take the ESG very important. So our board, our CFO, our CEO take this very important for them. And we are very happy to, they're very important to build a sustainable future and to promote diversity and inclusion. So that's National Bank in a nutshell. So now for our transformation. So we have started this transformation initiative maybe 4 years ago. We started having many internal meetings with the finance leadership, and where we defined the vision. So the vision is part of the vision. We have 4 focus areas: maximize efficiency, better decision, reduce risk, and enable employees. So we want to maximize efficiency, so we want to lower our finance costs to our partners. We want better decisions, so we want a centralized data hub, where we can have a centralized data where we can be able to make all the decisions and to provide better insight to our partners. So to have the data at one place, real time, where we can trust it. We want to reduce risk, so automate processes and control, and enable employees. So very important for us to work on our culture So our culture and our mindset, we want to attract and to keep new talents. We want to provide the employees with modern tools that they can use, and we want to develop skill sets for analytic needs. So that's what we want to do. So that's, those 4 pillars are part of our business case, and that they're the one that drives all the decisions that we make.
Yeah, good. So I know most of you would be interested in the vendor selection process. Did we go through an extensive process to select vendors like in SAP? And what is the methodology we followed once we have made a vendor selection to identify what applications, what modules to buy, right? So I should say that we didn't really go through an extensive software vendor selection because of multiple reasons, right? NBC already uses a lot of SAP applications. They use Concur, Ariba, Fieldglass, and many other applications. And that's one reason. The second reason is, as a part of this vendor selection process, the team was able to connect with a lot of the banking customers that use SAP. And they had so many sessions with them and finally concluded that the need to go through an extensive, elaborate vendor selection process, calling all the RFPs, demos and all that is not needed. So basically, we went with SAP as the vendor after properly validating that SAP can meet all our requirements. When it comes to requirements, right, together we have put to 1,000 plus requirements, right? And these requirements are not just process requirements, end user experience requirements, IT requirements, control requirements. So we looked at all the types of requirements that the bank needs from the software vendor. And then we went through the requirements and we mapped these requirements to SAP BOM components, bill of material components. When we did that, we found there are certain modules or bill of material components which we probably need in future, not now. If you look at the green boxes, those are the ones which we selected when we negotiated with SAP that this is what we need. And we went for negotiations with SAP for that piece. But as you go through this, right, there are a few things you got to really keep in mind. Number one is module identification, what you need is important. Second thing is the system landscape. At that point, we were planning to do both GL and the subledger in a phased manner. So we wanted to build two system landscape, N and N+1. So when we negotiated with SAP, we said we need N system, dev, quality, production, and sandbox as well, plus N+1, dev and quality. So we provisioned those systems, but later on we made some changes to that decision. And basis activities are so important because a lot of customers of SAP get into this trouble pretty early when they start taking the systems from SAP, where what SAP says, hey, we gave you the systems, but the functional configurators who have to design and build the configuration, this cannot still get into the system and configure because there are certain system administration tasks that have to be done by the basis team. So initially, we recognized that we need to onboard a couple of basis people. So going forward, if you are negotiating with SAP, right, make sure that you have end-to-end coverage from the time SAP hands over its system to the time when you hand it over to the functional configurators to do the configuration. ETL needs, I don't think we needed, we bought ETL from SAP because we had bank's ETL, right? Yep. Bank had very robust, very well functioning ETL application, so we didn't buy anything from SAP. And also, after we bought the licenses for the modules, we negotiated with SAP when we need SAP's help. So we agreed that periodically during the whole program at certain points of time, we wanted SAP value assurance to come, validate what we have designed and built, and give their recommendations. So that really helped us a lot in that. This has been a long program, complex program. And if you look at where National Bank started, they were running SmartStream, GL, pretty old system. There is
20
not
years.
Very old. So it was a long journey for us, but there are key takeaways that most of them would apply to all of you, I think. We can just go through a few of them. The mapping of legacy system chart of accounts to SAP chart of accounts, it is a very complex process. It depends on how old is your legacy system, how much standardization you have in your legacy system. So that's a very important thing. So we involved SMEs from the finance function to be part of that. They brought in the knowledge of using their smart stream system and how they would want each dimension to be mapped to SAP coding block. Next one is, again, this is another common feature we have seen in many customers, including NBC. If you go to the users and ask them how much history you want to see in SAP, people would ask for a lot of information. They say, we need to convert all line items. We need to convert 4 years history, 3 years history. But we often have seen that there are some diminishing returns if you convert too much of a history into the system. Conversion is very costly. And Christine and Jonathan, who is sitting here, he has gone through the nightmare of, converting the history, validating and all that. So we were smart in making sure that converting only the right amount of history to the GL system. This is another important point we got to call out, right? A lot of times in SAP programs, the focus for everyone is what happens within SAP application. Is the configuration done? Is the data looking good and all that? But what people don't pay attention to is the surrounding systems that feed data to SAP and the systems that take data from SAP. A lot of times the focus is not paid on those systems. Now often we end up with, SAP is ready for SIT, system integration testing. We feel that, I don't have this system configured properly to send the data to SAP. And same thing on the outbound side too. The systems that take data from SAP, they have to be configured if there is a change of dimensions and all. That's another takeaway, but quickly we realized that we need to focus on that. I don't want to go through all of them, but this is for you, but I'll go through a little bit detail on some of the product challenges we have seen. Nothing major, but all these were fixed in future releases of SAP. On parallel run,
maybe I could
go
take
ahead,
a few words on that.
Yeah.
So yes, we did do a parallel run. I know it's not a popular word. Nobody wants to do that, but we decided to do it. Actually, for us, it was a very big change, as you just mentioned. So we came in from a system that was 20 years old, and we did such a major changes to the coding block and also to the chart of account. We went from a very, very thick chart of account to a thin chart of account. So the changes were major. So we decided to do the parallel run because we didn't want to put our go live at risk and we have no chances forever. So actually it was a good thing because it gave us the time to make sure that we could finalize our change management activities, that we can iron out our processes, and that we can test our reports. So it was very good. At first, what we did was we thought we would do a 3 months parallel, but we were not ready. So we decided, at the end, we decided to do a 6-month parallel, and really it paid off. The go live was very smooth, no issues. So for us, it was a game changer. It was good.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, if you are an ECC customer, maybe you don't see a value in doing it. But if you are moving from an old, antiquated legacy system to SAP, you may want to think about it. I'm not saying that we should do it, but think about it. The next one is typically what we have seen, even in NBC we have seen this, right, Christine? Reporting design and reporting build often lags the GL consolidation design and build. We know that there are some dependencies, but don't have too much lag. At least have some critical reports built from the reporting tool standpoint as the GL and consolidation have completed their design. So you're not waiting for the reports to be designed and built pretty at the end stage of your design phase. So that's something we have done. Again, you probably know that in every company, right, we see that there are hundreds and thousands of manual journal entries. You don't need to wait for SAP to be designed, but you can have a SWAT team go through all the MJEs, rationalize all these MJEs to see what can be automated, what needs to still continue after go live. Another important change, it's an interesting, right? Our CFO said, once UAT starts, right, I want my process owners to take ownership on this. So basically the process owners,
Yep.
external reporting lead for the bank, who actually signs the balance sheet income statement, controllership people, they actually took ownership from the project team. So basically they actually were running the program during UAT. Normally we have UAT and we ask them to come and test the functionality, and then the project team is still actively playing a role. But here, the process owners of the bank took ownership during UAT. And since then, if there is something that is not working, they knew how it should work in production, and they were raising all these issues with that. With SAP Go Live, right, we did bump into some issues, but the important thing is, if you go through the ticketing process of SAP, through the normal channel, it would take maybe 7 to 8 days before you get the right expert who really knows what problem we are handling. So good thing is, with SAP, we had a weekly call. Once we had an issue, if it is a critical issue, we were able to get to the product expert ASAP. Within 24, 48 hours, we were able to get to the product expert and not waste time going through the whole ticketing process and all that. Again, the last one is the way we build this system is, completely APIs, right? There are no files going from SAP to other system, all API technology. We are also evaluating now whether we need the BW or not, because initially we thought we don't need BW, but we are just evaluating that option, right? Anything else you want to add on this, Christine?
I think that's good, maybe.
Okay, I think one.
Went too fast.
Yeah, on the solution side, every program, when you go for the new technology, you would have a couple of surprises, right? These are the 7 minor, I would say, other than maybe 2 of them, which we struggle a little bit. If you look at, I'll take maybe the couple of big ones, given that time is short. Consolidation of ADB, right? So every bank has to report their ADB numbers. So what we found is that SAP GL has an ability out of box to generate the ADB balances. But if you have to move the ADB balances to the consolidation system, which is a group reporting, the data load was not built by SAP. This, during SIT, we figured out this is a product gap. We reached out to SAP, they said, this is on the roadmap for the next release. But by the time we were going live, so there was no way we could have waited for 1 more year. So we built a custom application to enable the bank to run the consolidations and group reporting based on ADB values. That's a big one. Second one is, if you look at the consolidation table, ACDocu table, there is a view, standard view, I matrix view. That view, when you run a report using that view, there are some performance challenges we have seen. That's because you need to put in a profit center eliminated matching so that you can see all the profit center data here and what has been eliminated in a different node. We found that that has some performance issue. The bank has 6,000 profit centers, not too many. I'm sure it is not an issue for insurance customers because insurance would not have thousands of profit centers. They are based on products. Banks would have more because sometimes banks have branches as the profit centers and all that. We have 6,000 profit centers, 6,000 combinations, 36 million, right? So we had some challenges with this 36 million rows getting calculated on fly whenever you're running a report on consolidated balances. So what we did is we persisted the data in a custom table. And then whenever you are running the report, it was not calculated on fly, but instead it was going to the table to pull the combinations and all that. SAC reporting, we did think about having SAC reporting, but we found that from the usability standpoint, by the way, we were going for SAP live data connection, not import data connection. And what we found is if you go to the SAC live data connection, the users wanted to comment on a cell, but that feature was not there. You can comment on the table at the top, but you cannot comment on a cell. The second thing is when you export the SAC report, you won't get everything. You only get the table in which you see the data, but all the headers and all those pieces won't come into Excel download. We found those. But we were told that these have been fixed in our new engagements and with new versions, but those are the key solution observations we have seen. Nothing major other than, I would say, group reporting, item number 1, and item number 2. And the first one is another important for you. When you create a hierarchy for reporting, there is a time dependency. So always, banks, insurance companies have a need to create hierarchies, and these hierarchies might change. But at some point, you might want to go and run the reports based on old hierarchy. So you need that ability to run the reports based on time dependency factor. That was not there in our version, which is 1909, but this has been also fixed recently, right, Christine? Yeah. So these are the key observations from the solution standpoint.
Thank you, Ravi. So let's discuss a bit of architecture.
Yeah.
So before going into this diagram, I think it's important to just understand the strategy that we want to project in this architecture. For us, it's not just, it goes ways beyond the technology. It's a strategy. It's a strategy to create value with end-to-end processes. So the team has put a lot of effort defining the data, a robust, very solid data strategy to make sure that we can optimize and transform our processes. So when we look at the architecture, on your left, if we look at it from left to right, so on your left, we have all our source systems. So our source system now, the way our with the data strategy, our source systems are regrouped by domain. So now we don't integrate anymore 300 source systems, but we integrate, all these 300 source systems are integrated into how do you call that, a domain data integration layer. And then we regroup the information by domain, and that's when we transfer to the next layer, the integration layer in finance. So no more point-to-point integration, it's all being done by domain. So that was a big, it's a game changer for us. The integration layer, so that's where we transform, if you want, a business transformation into a finance language. So we do normalization there, and we transform the event or the transaction into a business language, into a finance language. So that's the integration data layer. And after that, that's being transferred to our S4 ecosystem through BTP that we heard a lot this past 2 days. Mm-hmm. In terms of the S4, so our finance transformation is being converted into finance language, into finance transaction, debits and credits, through the FPSL. So that's where we receive the events and we convert all the transaction into debits and credits so that after that, we can post it to the GL. So as part of our S4 landscape, we're gonna have at the end, because this is the target, so we're gonna have FPSL, the GL, group reporting, MDG, which is master data governance, so to centralize all our master data maintenance, accounts payable, project, SAC planning, and fixed asset. We're also thinking about PAPM, so for the cost allocation, for the FTP, for taxes, we think that PAPM would be also important in our landscape. So that's our main S4. With that, we have to consume the data. So we're using AO, analysis for office, for statutory and regulatory reports. We use Fiori for operational report, and we're using ACC reporting for analytics and management reporting. We're thinking also about what Ravi was just saying. We're thinking also about a data warehouse, or we're looking into DWC, so data warehouse cloud. So that's also is in the positioning process. Now, in terms of exposure to our downstream system, it's the same strategy as for the incoming system. So for the downstream, what we're doing is also we're exposing the data through REST API. So we have about 100 downstream systems, and we have only 8 API. So all those downstream systems come to the API, they call the information that they need, and then they grab the information that they want. So that's the way that we're going to expose the information. On top of that, as Ravi was mentioning, we also have, those systems were implemented, I guess it was 2015 to 2018 about. So we have Ariba, Fieldglass, Concur, and SuccessFactors. Those are all SAP landscape as well. Our data strategy, to complete our data strategy, we need the bottom part. So yes, we have the data model of FPSL for accounting, but we need to enrich it with FSDM portion. So the FSDM portion, it's another product from Pioneer, and we need that system to enrich it with the information for ESG, risk, and capital. With that, the combination of both, we will be able to optimize our reconciliation process. So we won't have to do some back and forth anymore for reconciliation. Everything will be reconciled at once and automated. So that's a very important portion of our architecture as well. So in a summary, architecture is there. It goes ways beyond technology. Technology is only the enabler, but what we want to do is to really create value to our process, for our process creation. What we have here is what we're showing is what we have in green. The light green is what we have implemented so far. So we implemented, where we started with the data strategy with the incoming system and the downstream. And we started, as Ravi was mentioning, our phase one, which we just went live last February, so February 2022, with the GL, group reporting, AO, and Fiori. The light blue, it's what we're doing in 2023. So we're putting in place the integration layer, the BTP, and we're starting with ACC reporting. We did a proof of concept with ACC last year. It was a big success. So this year we're starting with other initiatives. We're looking for this year, we're looking at use cases we're looking at the expense analytics and the product margin also. Those will be our first use cases for ACC. The weird pink, those are coming in the future years. So we're still in the positioning, but it's coming in the future years. So that's what we have as the target architecture. I won't repeat those because those we just saw in the architecture. So what we see in the round there is it's the different modules that we want to implement. I think that the key messages that I want to say here is what we have on the right side. I think one of the lessons learned from our phase one was, let's stop making technological deployment. We have our deployment. With each deployment, we want to transform finance. So it's very important for us for the next deployment, we want to transform our process. We want to modify and change our data and analytics and provide the analytics to our partners. We want to improve and automate our control and want to make sure that the user experience is very good for our employees. So for each deployment, all those areas are very important for us in the implementation. Yep. So that's what we have for you this afternoon. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Christine, Ian here from EY. If you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Good question, Ian. Actually, I think it's part of one of the lessons learned that Ravi just mentioned. I think we did a very good job with the GL in all the design and the group reporting, but we were early adopter of group reporting, so we had a few issues there. But I think it's reporting. We entered the reporting way too far in the game. So I think we started thinking about reporting maybe 3 months just before our go live. So that was way too late. So that my recommendation is reporting. Yeah. Think about reporting in advance. Yeah. Oh, that's the answer. For sure.
Come on, any more questions? Like I said, we're rounding third, heading for home. Come on, let's keep the energy up. All right, I've got some questions. This is my favorite part, the ideation. Why EY?
Why EY?
Yes.
Actually, we did do an RFP, right? We did do an RFP many years ago. They were not the only one that we were looking for, but EY had the best team, the most complete team. They had all the knowledge within all the different modules that we needed. So, and actually, it's a partnership that we have,
Yeah,
right?
truly, yeah.
So it went very well.
And then when do you suggest bringing the partners in? You know, you said you start with ideation. When do you suggest to individuals who are starting this journey, when do you engage with the partners?
Actually, it was at the beginning.
Yeah.
At the very beginning. We worked the business case together.
Right,
We worked everything together.
We were in Toronto
Yeah.
for a few days, huddled with all the senior finance executives, IT executives, few people not in the room, but and I want to thank everyone who is not. But they were there working with the finance executives and defining a roadmap, looking at what is working for the bank, what is not working for the bank, how is bank positioned for future growth from the business standpoint, how finance can support that growth, and what finance needs to support that growth. So we took all those parameters into consideration, and then we came up with this is what we need to do over a 5-year period. Then we came up with a prioritized roadmap so that we are getting the benefits as we go through the deployment. So that's all done together. Started in 2018.
Yep.
Right?
That's when we flew to Toronto.
Toronto, yeah.
And that's where we identified the 4 focus areas that we needed for the business case.
Yeah.
So it's with EY and all the finance partners.
Terrific. Any more questions before we conclude here? Boy, hey, I can't thank you guys enough, first for being a client, and Ravi and EY for such a great partnership and your sponsorship here. So nice round of applause for our nice friends.